Okay, I just want to run through a quick tutorial for your number systems conversion task. So what we're going to do is create a little application like you can see here, which will allow you to enter a decimal number and then it will convert to binary and then hex and vice versa. So if I put in a binary number, I will convert to the decimal and the hex as well. So obviously this is your task, but I want to start off with a little sort of demo to get you going and set up the basic structure for our view controller. So to start off, we're going to create a new project. So in Xcode, we want to go File, New, and pick Project. Okay, we're going to work on a single view application. I'm going to choose the name of our project. So convert numbers, you'll have your name and also your organization identifier, and we don't need any of the core data or unit testing for this project. Click next, and we're going to choose where it's going to go. So I'm going to put it into here. Okay, so once we start off, the main places we're going to work in are our storyboard and also our view controller. So if we click on our view storyboard and then click on this little Venn diagram thing here on the top right, this will allow us to see our storyboard with a little bit of shuffling of the windows, but also we can choose our view controller as well. Okay, so within our view controller we have our main class and this method of view.did_load. Okay, so this is the main method which will run every time our application starts up. Let's get our application up and running. First of all, we need to add in some objects. Oops. So if I go back to my main view controller, click on my object library, I want to add in a label. And I want to add in a text field, and then I can also add in some buttons. Okay, so my button's going to say convert, so I just double click on that. I'm going to have a label for decimal, and then I'll copy and paste that. Oops, copy and paste that. Have one for binary and one for hexadecimal. Okay, I can do the same thing with my text fields as well and copy and paste those. Okay, now we've got our storyboard here, which is our view, and then we need to link that to our actual script. Okay, so anything on the interface needs to have a connection to our view controller in here. Okay, so to do this we create what's called outlets. So if I press Control and drag, I can create a link. Okay, I've created an outlet to my view controller. I'm going to call this txt decimal. Cool. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing for my other two. Binary and txt hex. Okay. If I make a mistake and I stuff this up and I accidentally add two, so at the moment I can see that these are linked. Okay, I can go to my storyboard, open up this side column here, and click on my links, and as I select each of mine, I can see these referencing outlets. So if you see that you've got two, it may cause your app to crash, so you may want to delete them and reconnect them. Okay, so I've got my outlets. So from here, this means that I can now reference it, a bit like if you created a new instance of an object or a new variable, you would be able to manipulate them now because I have this instance at the top. So for example, I have my text.decimal object, which is here, and I'm referencing the text property, and I can change that to welcome or something like that. Okay, so as this function loads, it'll put this text into here. Okay. When we create the button, we don't want to create an outlet, we want to create an action. So if I drag this over and I'll create action, I'm going to call this btn convert. Okay, it now creates a little function or a method which will allow us to do something when the button is pressed. So for example, txt decimal dot text equals pressed. Okay, so if I run my code now, my simulator will boot up. I'll move on while that's loading. So what we can do is to start to create some extra methods which will allow us to demonstrate that abstraction which we need for the College Board, and also make our program a little easier to understand. So far we've got our text fields, we've created outlets. Okay, that's my little demo. So I pressed it. Cool, I know that's working. So I've got my text fields, I've got my outlets, and I've got my action for my button. Okay. So all I'm going to do is set all of my buttons to blank. Text fields to blank. So txt decimal, binary, and txt hex. Okay. So when it initially loads, I'm just going to set it to blank, which will allow the user to do something. And then I'm going to create a little function. Function convert binary. Okay, and this is where I'll put my algorithm which you're going to design. Okay, now with these functions we want them to receive an input, and the input will be a string. Okay, and we're also going to get them to return a string. Okay, which means inside your function you're going to have to return some sort of value. Okay, and you're going to have a function for each of the conversions which need to happen. Okay, so you'll have a function for convert hex, convert one for binary, and one for decimal. So when we convert, instead of actually putting text decimal, we're going to call our function convert decimal. There will be an input string which may come from our binary. Text. Okay, so we know that we're going to get the value from the binary and we're going to apply it to the text. Okay, so it may ask you to say, well, we need to make sure that this is a string, so we need to say, okay, well, let's make it compulsory. Okay, let's make it explicit. Cool, and we're going to do this for each of the different items. Obviously you're going to build up this algorithm, but this is the start of your program. You're going to have your text boxes, your outlets, your different methods here for converting binary, converting hex, and converting decimal, and you're going to have your action for your button. And that's basically all you need to start off your project.